had a podcast a few weeks ago uh, when Carson Wentz got traded, and we went all out for it. Hang on, it's too bright behind me. And we went all out for it. We sat down. I think it was a snow day, and me, you, and our friend Armand, who's a Philadelphia Eagles fan, sat down, and we had some great insight into this Carson Wentz trade. And we were gonna do like 2021 division breakdowns and everything, or way too early. And then my computer just turned off,
like an hour in, dude.
An hour in, and it didn't save it. And here's the thing: it was plugged in. Like my laptop's kind of old. It's about 6 years old, and so it's to the point the battery has to be like plugged into an outlet all the time. And it was plugged in, and it still turned off.
Didn't it update or something? You said.
I have no idea. Maybe, I don't know. I still haven't figured that one out. But so we've been a little busy. At least I have. The last few weeks, we finally are at it again. James, though, we don't have a ton of time, but let's go ahead and touch up on the Carson Wentz trade real quick. After way too long of waiting, I mean, it had to be done.
Yeah, it was honestly, I thought it was a very fair trade for both sides.
Yeah, so did I.
I think how the Colts, basically the Colts said, listen, dude, he comes here, he plays the whole season. We have no problem giving you a first. We just want to make sure we get our values worth. And I think that's fair based on the injury history, based on how poorly he played last year. I mean, they're looking at a first and a third if he plays 3/4 of the season, which I think is very good.
I said it on that podcast we did. What I thought was funny was you made fun of me because I didn't think the Eagles would get a first-round pick for Carson Wentz. And you were shitting on me saying, you are so stupid, it's going to happen, and when it really came down to it, neither of us were really wrong.
Yeah. We were both right and both. That's a good way to, that's a good meet in the middle point. I don't mind that. Listen, man, fuck Carson Wentz, and that's pretty crazy compared to all the shit, lots of the things I've said on him, how much I defended him on here. Done with that guy. Fuck him. See ya.
Look, I still love Carson Wentz. I'm cheering for him. I've hopped off his bandwagon, though. I latched myself onto that in 2017 and haven't really let off until this past year. Had a bad year. I mean, it happens.
It's not his play. I'm not saying that because of his play. It's his actions after the play. He never took responsibility for the poor play, blamed it on the organization, acted like a baby. Like, dude, you deserve to get benched in like week 7, if we're being honest. And you got benched, and then you cried like a little baby, and then he ruined our leverage on trading him because he's like, I'm going to the Colts, basically. So figure out a way to get me there. Ruined it with Chicago. Apparently, Chicago an offer was given, but they really want him. He's like, I'm not going there. And it's like, obviously, you're not going to trade for a franchise quarterback who doesn't want. Yeah. I'm just done with him. He's a baby.
Look, one of the things I saw that everyone gave Philadelphia a hard time for was eating the money. The $35 million, $33 million or something.
Listen, that's 30. Listen, obviously a negative. I think it's the biggest dead money hit of all time. This is a wash year. They're going to see what they have in Sirianni. They're going to see what they have in Hurts. They're going to draft some players. Like, it's fine. Next year, the Eagles are looking at like $65 million in cap space. So they're fine.
Well, here's just about everyone next year is going to have some wiggle room in the cap. In the cap, and that's assuming that the TV deal, from what I've seen, the projection is like 220 some million, which is what it already would have been projected for if we were in a normal year this year. Because in a normal year, we'd be around 210 or $112 million for a cap this year, but this year it's heading down to 182.5, which was announced today. But in a normal year, 2022 would be about $227 million. However, they're not factoring in that these TV deals are close to being done. And there are going to be billions and billions and billions and billions, as Trump would say, of dollars. And there is going to be a boom in cap room next year. I think that's why, when we're going to talk about this in a bit, I think that's partially why Dallas gave Dak the deal they did.
Agreed.
So anyway, back to what we were saying about the Colts. I don't think it's that big of a deal that they ate that money. It's 1 year. It's not like it's Bobby Bonilla. I said that on our last podcast. It's not like they're paying that amount of money every single year that he's in Indianapolis. It's not like that. It's likely a 1 or 2 or 3 time payment, but it's a short term thing. It won't matter next year. I'm telling you, it won't matter.
No. won't. And listen, it's probably the least ideal season to ever have that with the cap getting squeezed so bad. But like I said, man, this is more of a, let's get some young players. Let's get them on the field, get them some experience. Let's get Nick Sirianni in the driver's seat, calling plays. And that's what it's going to be. I think the Eagles are going to be a little better than some people were saying. I mean, I'm listening to like some Eagles beat writers and shit saying they're going to win 3 games. No shot. No fucking
Maybe.
shot.
I wouldn't be shocked, but no, I think they're more like a 5 or 6 win team.
I have a bet with Artis. He bet me $100 they're going to win 5 or less games. So I think they're going to win about 6 or 7.
I think that's fair.
Especially with the extra game.
Yeah, that's the other thing we should talk about too.
Yeah.
But first,
I'm not a fan of, because teams can't go 500 and I hate them.
I do like teams that finish 500
because it's like a threshold, if that makes sense. I think that is like an average team, and now it's like, so what is a 9 and 8 team average, or is that a good team?
I'll say that. I'll do the flip side of that. I mean, you have a winning record. I mean, you finished with a winning record.
Somebody made a good point, because obviously I've only watched football with 16 games, and it's like when you hear a record, your brain automatically associates that with like that team. Like when I hear 5 and 11, like I know what type of team that was. When I hear 8 and 8, I know what type of team that was. When I hear 13 and 3, I know what type of team that was. Now it's like, what kind of team is it? Is a 13 and 4 team? Like, it's obviously a really good one, but like, it's just not going to hit the ear right. It's going to
it's you saying that. It's just so weird. And here I am thinking, 17 weeks. I'm so used to the Super Bowl being the first Sunday of February. Wrapping up at regular season, wrapping up around New Year's, the New Year. It's gonna throw me for a loop starting the week after Labor Day. Like, I'm so used to this 17 week slate, and now it's gonna be a 17 game slate and over 18 weeks for a regular season, including the 14 team playoff now.
I hate change.
I don't mind it. Look, it was heading this way anyway. This is a fair compromise. Roger Goodell has said he wanted 18 regular season games, and this is, a fair compromise. It's more money in the player's pocket, whether they want to believe it or not.
What I think is cool is they're putting a Monday night game during Wild Card Day now, which is fucking sweet.
I didn't mind that. One other thing, if we're talking about schedules, one thing I thought COVID taught us with the NFL was that we need more of these Monday night doubleheaders. I thought that was so cool, playing at like 5 o'clock. Playing a game at 5 o'clock and then playing like a West Coast game at 8 o'clock. I thought that was so freaking cool.
Give me football. Give me NFL football. I'll watch that shit on Tuesday. I don't give a damn.
I don't give a shit either.
Like how COVID moved some shit around, and there was literally games on like Wednesday and shit.
There was an afternoon game on Wednesday afternoon, I believe, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. That was a bad game, but it was just weird. Like, I remember watching that game, and my mom came down and said, "What is this, a replay?" I was like, "No, this is a live game."
It's crazy.
Another more breaking news that happened last week was J.J. Watt against the grain, and no one really saw this team coming, but signs with the Arizona Cardinals. At first, I remember seeing that. I got the alert, and I said, "The fucking Cardinals?" And I looked at that contract, and it was $31 million over 2 years, and I was like, okay, I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, and dude, genuinely, I don't think he was looking. And this is just a feeling. Like, I obviously don't know this for a fact. I think he was ring chasing until the Cardinals just gave him an offer where it's like, I can't turn that down.
Yeah.
Like, I can't turn that down.
It's $23 million guaranteed. That is $11.5 million in your pocket. $23 million over 2 years guaranteed. I mean,
and that's what it was. That's why I think his landing spots were like Green Bay, Pittsburgh, like good.
The problem is almost none of these contenders can afford him right now. Green Bay's in cap hell. Kansas City, not so much, but Pittsburgh's in cap hell. Buffalo's not in great shape either.
A contender wouldn't pay in that.
Exactly.
A team that's a contender wouldn't do that. So there you go. Still
the only contender that's not in cap hell, honestly, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now they are, though, because they've re-signed some guys. Yeah, they franchised Chris Godwin, and they re-signed Levante David. So now they're a little strapped, but I knew that was going to be the case anyway, that they were just going to keep their own guys and keep the core, which is what they're doing. But I'm trying to think I always was like, look, I'd love to get J.J. Watt. He's from not from Green Bay, but he's from Wisconsin. He loves Green Bay. It just felt right. I've said for years that J.J. Watt would finish his career in Green Bay. I thought this was it, and then
still a chance.
There's still a chance, yeah. But by the time this is up, he'll be what, 35 or 33 maybe?
I think he's younger than you think. I think he's only like 31, 30.
Yeah, but after this deal, he'll be 33 roughly.
Now,
unless they cut him after 1 year.
He also has a very beat up body at this point too.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I wasn't crazy about that. Like you said you wouldn't pay him over about $10 million. I said, look, if the number's 10, I wouldn't hate it.
I said less than that.
I think you might have said 8. And I was, look, if the number's around 10, I really wouldn't have a problem with it. That doesn't create a huge dent. This year it would. Any other year it wouldn't. But that's just too much money. Once I saw that $31 million, I said, no way. No, thank you. Look, we can find other players who are arguably just as good as J.J. Watt right now for far cheaper.
You have 3 good pass rushers, unless you got rid of one of the Smith brothers.
We might. Not official. Well, so here's the deal. J.J. Watt's not really an edge rusher. People try to say he's an edge rusher. He can rush the edge.
He's a defensive end in a 3-4.
Yes, he would have been in the interior next to Kenny Clark, which I would have loved. That would have given us either the Smith brothers or Zadarius Smith and Rashawn Gary on the edge, with Preston Smith being the swing edge rusher, and then Kenny Clark and J.J. Watt in the interior. That would have been a good defensive front. But didn't happen. So I don't really have a problem with it. Green Bay, though, it sounds like it's just going to build through the draft, but it's not a great defensive tackle draft class. So we'll see. Depth there is very questionable right now. So the big news of this week, it was Monday night, I believe. We're recording this on Wednesday. Was Dak Prescott receiving a $160 million deal over 4 years? I'm not going to laugh. I mean, so here's the thing. Like, we have said this before. Go make your money.
Let me explain to you why I'm laughing. Good for Dak. I mean, Dak's a good dude. Like, he's clearly a good guy. It's just like the Cowboys held out for all that time just to give him the short deal that he wanted, to give him more than the money he was asking for previously. It's just like, why didn't you sign him? You should have signed him last fucking year. This would have all been done. Like, it's so funny how Jerry Jones was acting like he was playing hardball and then just fucking did what he usually does and gives his favorite guy all the fucking money that he wants, regardless if it makes sense or not. Listen, Dak was next up. We know how these contracts work. I mean, at one point, I think Derek Carr was like the highest paid quarterback in the league.
Look, it's market value. I don't care how you look at it. It's market value.
Exactly. And listen, Josh Allen's probably going to get $42 million. Lamar Jackson's probably going to get $40 million too. Like, listen, I get it. I showed you yesterday, there's 10 quarterbacks for this season coming up that I would take over Dak Prescott. No questions asked. So
I got started on this, and then I got sidetracked today. I thought of, let me see if I can name them. Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
I would assume Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. Josh Allen.
Yep.
Deshaun Watson.
Yep.
I'm sure you would say Tom Brady.
Yes.
Then it gets kind of tricky. I would say probably Lamar Jackson.
Yes. Tannehill.
Yeah, Tannehill. Which that was a good stat that I sent, some good numbers I sent you today.
Yes.
So those 8, I'm not done yet. Those 8, who am I forgetting? Maybe Wentz? No, not Wentz. All right, go ahead and give me the other 2.
Stafford and Murray.
Stafford. Yeah, I don't know. Kyler Murray's numbers really aren't better than Dak's.
But you put Kyler Murray in Kyler Murray can do just as much, and I think he's a freak fucking athlete.
I agree with that. You make
he
a
has
good
a better
point.
arm, and he's more athletic than Dak. I don't think that's arguable.
No, that's fair.
Now, Dak is a bigger, sturdier dude, granted. So, like, that's why I said, I even told you, I was like, look, Kyler Murray's horrible. Somebody sat there and argued with me. I'd be like, okay, good points. But, like, dude, all right, so let's take Kyler Murray out. That puts him at 10.
Look, I'll be honest. I think I'd take...
You said Matt Ryan. I didn't.
Yeah, Matt Ryan is so overlooked. He is not the problem in Atlanta.
No, I agree, but I think he's a bum, personally. Drew Brees is another argument.
No. I'm not taking Drew Brees and his noodle arm over Dak.
Agreed. I think you're going to be able to make the argument after this next year coming up that Joe Burrow.
Yes, I thought about Joe Burrow. I thought about Justin Herbert
and Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
And another thing that I did, I was like, listen, you can make the argument that you wouldn't take Rodgers and Brady over him just based on age, obviously.
No, I'd take Brady over Dak any day.
No, agreed. That's why I prefaced before we started this upcoming season, because it's like, all right, who you want to start your franchise with? I'd probably take Dak over Tom Brady.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But if it's like to win a game, if it's to build a franchise, yeah, I'm taking Dak. He'll last
If you're going all in on a season, and it's just like, dude, I mean, they just throw money at these players that are just, they're not elite. They're just, Amari Cooper, great player, not elite. Dak Prescott, great player, not elite. Zeke Elliott was elite when he got paid. I don't even know if he's a good player anymore. I mean, it's just...
I don't either. I mean, he's really not that good.
The offensive line is decimated.
Yeah.
Tyron Smith is playing like he's 40 years old. He's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Their center retired. They still have, obviously, the guard, fucking name,
Zach Martin.
Best in, still best in the NFL at guard, probably besides Quentin Nelson. Leo Collins is a good right tackle, but like, their defense is fucking abysmal.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely terrible.
But here's the thing, and I sent it to you after that deal was done. I said, I think I got to go with the Cowboys to win the NFC East this year.
I said that before.
Yeah.
If you remember, I said that originally.
If Dak doesn't get hurt, I think the Cowboys win that division at like 8-8, maybe 9-7.
9-8.
Well, I meant this past year.
No, but I know what you mean. I don't know, dude, because they were 2-3 when he got hurt. Should have been 1-4, and like, I'm not a shoulda, coulda, woulda person. If you remember the onside kick that fucking Falcons just sat there and watched, they didn't win that game.
No.
They won the game, but they didn't win it, if that makes sense. Like,
right.
Dak lost that game. Dak didn't lose the game.
So this is something else. When I was going over, so the stat I sent you today that I just referred to was I gave you a quarterback A and a quarterback B, and quarterback A had better numbers. What did I send you? Hang on. Let me pull it up here, because I do want to say this to our tens of viewers out there. So quarterback A has a completion percentage of 67.2, 60 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, a passer rating of 111.2, and averages 8.47, basically 8.5 yards per attempt. Like, the highest I think I've ever seen in that category is maybe Aaron Rodgers. I think he had 9.1 one year, which is absurd. Like, the average is like 7.5. So quarterback B,
underrated player in the league.
Quarterback B is has a 67% completion percentage, not much of a drop off, but 52 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, a passer rating of 101.3, good, but quantity drop off from 111, and averages 8.1 yards per attempt. Quarterback B is making $10.5 million more than quarterback A. Quarterback B being Dak Prescott, quarterback A being Ryan Tannehill. I know I threw a lot of letters and numbers at y'all, but that is absurd. Talk about value for the Tennessee Titans. You are getting a top elite 6 or 7 quarterback right now.
Elite quarterback.
I don't know if he's elite, but...
No, I don't think he's elite. That's elite quarterback play, though. Those
numbers for sure. Yeah.
111 quarterback rating over basically the last 2 seasons. That's
and you're getting him for not even $30 million.
And it's not like, I mean, dude, he's just as athletic as Dak. He was a fucking wide receiver for A&M in college.
No, I remember watching him when I was an undergrad, and Green Bay played Miami, and he had like a 40-yard sprint for a touchdown. I thought, damn, this dude's sneaky athletic.
I don't know if he does anymore, but I think he ran like a 4.55 coming out. Like,
yeah, I mean, Ryan Tannehill, we don't give that dude enough love. Hey, I was very critical of him. I didn't think they should pay him after he threw, like, he had 2 games in the playoffs where he didn't eclipse, like, 80 yards or something in either game. But I have been totally wrong. He put up numbers in the tail end of that regular season before that playoff run to the AFC Championship before they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But then this past year, he put up incredible numbers. 8.5, and I'm not a yards guy, but I am a yards per attempt guy, because I don't care how many yards you have, how many attempts do you have, and are you captain check down? That's what matters. And that right there is telling me he is averaging 8.5 yards per attempt, not per completion, per attempt. That is factoring in incompletions where they get 0 yards.
That's nuts.
And
dude.
Dak's at 8.1. I'll give Dak credit. That's a lot better than what I thought. And his interceptions really weren't that bad. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned those were in their last 29 games because Tannehill took over 20. It's
Do you
been
want to
29
know the
games.
difference though? And this is why context.
And for Dak, that's not including the game he got hurt this past year.
And this isn't hating on Dak because it's not his fault, but the Cowboys' defense was so bad, and they've been not great over the last 2 years. They were really good 3 years ago, if you remember. He's playing against prevent defenses because they're getting fucking smacked, dude. Like, that's what, dude. Ryan Tannehill hardly is ever playing against prevent defenses because they actually had a pretty good defense. Like, it's not a lead or anything. Like, dude.
I will say this: both of these quarterbacks are in pretty good situations, but Ryan Tannehill's in a very good situation. That Tennessee offensive line is very good.
Yes.
And they lost Taylor Lewan during the year. He's got Derrick Henry to back him up. He's got A.J. Brown and Corey Davis to throw to. I mean, he's got some weapons. Let's not pretend like it's just Tannehill out there balling. But
no, dude, I'm not at all. I keep trying to say that about Dak. Like, I'm not hating on Dak because he's clearly a good player, but he's just – it's like I've said this to you before, and this is even back before he's been playing out of his mind the past couple years, is like, dude, I think you could put probably 15 quarterbacks in that offense, and you get the same thing. He's not an elite athlete, and he doesn't have an elite arm. So you're going to tell me other people can't hit these wide-open receivers?
So I want to touch up on something else. This is why passing yards is so stupid of a stat to give me without context. So this past year, Dak had a 3 or 4 game stretch where he had over 450 yards throwing in 4 straight games. First time ever that's ever happened. Everyone blew that up, pay the man, whatever. Everyone was like, oh, wow, he's so good. And I thought, no, he's not. Do you know how many at times he threw the ball in those 4 games?
Had to be over 35 times a game. Easily.
Oh, one game was 57, one game was 47, one game I think was 52. He was throwing the ball 50 times a game.
Yeah.
You know what happens if you give Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady 50 times to throw the ball?
500 yards.
They're going to get 500 yards every fucking time. Every quarterback is.
Exactly.
And you know what? They're not also going to throw for 2 interceptions or whatever like Dak will. Look, I like Dak. He seems like a very good guy.
He seems like a great guy.
Yeah, he seems like a great guy. I'm happy he got his money, but let's not kid ourselves. He's not that good, but he's above average.
They overpaid. I don't think anybody outside of Cowboys Nation could argue that. They overpaid for him. Now, like you said, it's market value. That's what it is. Usually at market
value. But here's the thing, and you say this all the time, James. At what point do you just say you're not that you are not of that value?
Dude, I'm telling you right now, because it happened to Wentz and Goff, if Dak doesn't take them on a playoff run, and I mean a deep playoff run in the next 4 years, I think you're going to start to see GMs go, dude, I'm not doing it anymore. It doesn't make sense. Sometimes
these things work out. Like, I remember when Green Bay signed Zadarius Smith, a guy who really hadn't had a ton of production in Baltimore. I remember, the most sacks he had was, 8. And Green Bay gave him a $64 million offer over 4 years, $16 million, and I thought we overpaid for him. And he's had 25 sacks the last 2 years, all pro. I'm like, damn, okay, we banked on and it paid off. Sometimes that happens. But I'm not sure Dak's that guy.
And it's not even that, dude. It's Bucky Brooks uses the truck and trailer now.
Yes.
I'm not paying you $40 million if you're not a truck, dude.
Yeah.
You're not.
Honestly, if it's me, I'm looking at that. I'm like, look, you're not on Patrick Mahomes' level. You're not on Deshaun Watson's level. I'm giving you 35, take it or leave it. Or 30, take it or leave it.
You're not even on Josh Allen's level.
You're not on Ryan Tannehill's level going by the numbers.
No, exactly.
And, I look at Aaron Rodgers, who, granted, when they made that deal, that was the biggest deal, I believe. And since then, the number's gone up. But I think his number is $33.5 million. I look at that, and I'm like, you're nowhere on Aaron Rodgers' level. That's $33.5 million. So let's not even talk about Patrick Mahomes and where he's at.
Dude, he got the same amount of money as Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes is technically at about $45 million-ish.
I thought he got 40. Basically, if you extrapolate it out, he got $40 million a year.
It's not 40. It's like 45.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was like a $500 million deal over 12 years, but if you take 2 of those years, which is the remainder of his rookie deal, and it's $450 over 10, basically, so it's $45 million a year.
Okay, that makes sense.
But still, I'm like, you're not touching that. You're not getting anywhere close to that number. And then I look at Deshaun Watson, who's at $40 million. I almost sent it to you today. I went over their numbers in their last 33 starts. Watson's numbers are a little bit better than Mahomes in their last 33 starts, including the playoffs.
With clearly not as good of a coach. Or supporting cast. Not even close.
Not a lot. Like, it's not like Tannehill. We're like, holy shit.
Watson's a truck. That's why.
Watson had like 60-some touchdowns. Mahomes was obviously at like 72. So that was one where there's a big discrepancy. But like pass rating, I think Watson had him beat. Completion percentage, he might have had him beat. What's the other one? I forget. Maybe fewer No, I'm not sure about interceptions. But I was like, damn, he's right up there with Mahomes. This past year, and I know we just said I'm not a passing yards guy, but he led the league in passing and the 10th the 10th most attempts. And what did I send you?
That was insane.
The 10th most, which everyone's probably like, what's the big deal? Every other time a quarterback has led the league in pass rating, except for about 4 times, including Watson, they've either been 1 or 2 in passing attempts.
That's a left coast.
Since 2004, about 16 times if you led the league in passing, you're 1 or 2 in passing attempts. Watson is the lowest at 10th in passing attempts. And I thought, and I said it to you, I thought he was just, okay, well, I'll just put it down and run, because I am a runner. But he was 6th in rushing attempts by a quarterback. So he wasn't just running the ball by himself all the time either.
He was balling with nobody.
Then you factor in, he was 2nd in passer rating behind Aaron Rodgers by a considerable amount. But if Aaron Rodgers didn't have the year he has, which he put up 121.5 passer rating.
I don't know if they give it to him because they won like 4 games.
No, but Rodgers had an insane year. He has the top 2 passer ratings in NFL history. Take those out of the equation, because that's an ungodly year pretty much. Watson would have led the league in passer rating at 112. That's a great year.
That's an MVP year.
Yes.
If they win,
and then he had 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Like, that's a huge discrepancy.
Damn.
That's not even a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
That's impressive, dude. I didn't realize he was balling like that. I mean, I knew he was, but I didn't know it was like that.
I could send it to you, but yeah, I went through. I'm like, holy shit, he's right there with Mahomes.
Nah, do that. Damn. Imagine if he's playing with Andy Reid. I mean, you could realistically sit there and say he might be Patrick Mahomes if he's playing with Andy Reid and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce.
And he did have DeAndre Hopkins when he entered the league, which helps. But still, he put up those numbers this past year when no one thought he'd have that good of a year. No one thought he would have that good of a year.
I definitely didn't. Dude,
and no one talked about how great of a year he's had.
And I was so fucking wrong. I was in the, not that, I mean, I thought he was a top 5 quarterback. I thought he was like 5, but I was saying that he was a little overrated, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
You told me I was wrong. I'll give you credit for that. You said, no, that's not true. The only reason I said that is because I'm like, he was winning 24-0 against Patrick Mahomes and fucking lost that game. Like, I'm not forgiving you for that.
No, and that's understandable.
But, yeah, balling out. He might be the MVP favorite next year. All they got to do is win 8 games.
They're not winning 8.
I don't think so.
Not with this coach and the way they're heading in.
I don't think so either.
All right, my man. I know you've been parked there. I know you got to go. I'll let you go.
That's all good, bro. Later, man.
All right, later.